before we get into the list, I just wanted to say a couple things. For one, if you hear it throughout the video, I'm pretty under the weather. And so I really apologize if you hear some coughing and sniffles. I try to edit it out. So, with that being said, let's get started. For those who have seen my content before, you know that this is kind of a departure from my usual stuff. Because most of my usual stuff is reactions or me losing for 20 minutes in Street Fighter. But for months now, I've been heavily addicted to Project Zomboid. And I've been hosting a dedicated server recently. So while trying to get new people to join, I've kind of realized every single time I've had to explain to them the game, important things, everything they need to do to survive. And it kind of made me realize I should just make a video instead, considering, it's pretty easy. So, realizing that I needed a quicker way to teach them about the game, at least the essentials, this is 5 things I wish I knew when I first started Project Zomboid. Now the first one's kind of weird, at least for a lot of people, and if you don't agree with it, you can skip it, but truthfully, number 1 has to be mods. You're gonna think, I want to beat the game just as it is, and I want to, play it vanilla first. That's absolutely fine. I did the same thing. But while a lot of people do enjoy the base game, the mods being so easily available and in the workshop, and not to mention how wonderful some quality of life mods are, I honestly couldn't think of playing the game without it. I mean, from mods of sitting in a chair, to reading while walking, to mods that add, armored motorhomes, the abilities to add metal plating to normal cars, adding new cars, adding, you name it, it is a mod in this game. And truthfully, I think that mods are absolutely essential for what you want to do in this game. Plus, it breathes new life into a lot of settings. One thing that Zomboid struggles with, in my opinion, is after you've kind of gotten yourself set up, what's there to do? And there's a lot of mods that fix that. So, my number 1 for everybody on things I wish I knew when I started is read mods, get into mods, and in fact, we have a collection that we use for the dedicated server, which I'll have linked down below. Check it out. It's really, really fun. With number 2, you've now created your character, you've looked at your occupations, which that'll probably be another video in the future, and you've spawned in. When a lot of people spawn in, the first thing you might think about is securing a weapon, or getting a vehicle, and that's all fine. In fact, go for it. But you need to realize, in a game like this, you have to manage everything, including your calories, and your hunger and thirst. So, personally, I recommend after securing a safe position in a house, clearing it out, get a weapon or so, make sure you get some shoes, and then you want to start securing your food. Once you collect every single piece of canned food from every area nearby, and normal food to stick in your fridge, as well as all the containers to fill water, then maybe go looting around for some weapons. But truthfully, I would prioritize your food prep as soon as possible. You're gonna need it. It gets scarce. While on your journey, and going through every single house to secure all the canned foods and dishes and cooking pots, really everything possible to make sure that you can make yourself a gourmet meal, you're gonna need entertainment while you do that. So, that brings us to number 3, which is books and tapes. While you're out running through those houses and all those areas, make sure to loot every bookshelf you can find. And eventually, once you have a vehicle or walk close enough, go to VHS stores. They are absolutely essential. Books give you an insane XP boost, from volume 1s giving you times 3 to volume 4s and 5s giving you times 9, 10, 16. They are lifesavers and make leveling skills in this game a breeze. Which brings us to the tapes. While you're out there in the world and you're going about, you want to make sure that you have a TV on hand. You want to make sure to stop and tune in to the light of life and living. This channel is the greatest thing ever made. This channel will air 3 shows for almost every day for about 10 days, maybe a little more. And it will give you insane XP. I mean, we're talking skill points in things like fishing, trapping, foraging, carpentry, and even cooking. These shows are absolutely can't miss at the start of the game, and you want to make sure to look up when the timings exactly are, because you need them. And While you watch them, you can read all your skill books, killing two birds with one stone. Just make sure you're in a safe area because zombies will hear the TV if you have it loud enough, so make sure to keep the volume at about a 4. You'll be okay. So, you've watched the shows. You've absolutely read as many books as you can. Hell, you've probably even walled off your living space. You're safe, you have a ton of water saved up from all the things that you've collected, but eventually it's dawning on you that all the food you've gotten, including the canned food, is going to run out. So what do? Well, you open up your map and you walk or drive to a farmer's market. You grab seeds, a trowel, watering cans, and if you're lucky, spray cans to cure your plants, because that gets us to the next tip, which is gardening. With all those supplies, you can go home and start a garden. Right click to dig some furrows and make sure to spread them one tile apart so if disease does occur, it doesn't spread. You can get started on planting immediately and taking care of your garden. Make sure they're watered, taken care of, and keep supplies nearby. Eventually, your plants will grow. And once they reach a final phase of seed bearing, that's it. You've secured a good food supply. This phase all but guarantees you more than enough seeds to replant everything, 3-fold or 4-fold, and a good food supply for life. My personal recommendation of vegetables, at least the first one, is cabbages. Then prioritize carrots, potatoes, and tomatoes. After you have all that set up, you're good on food. So, you've collected all that water, you've read all those books, watched all those shows, and you've set up your garden to a point where you have a steady food supply coming in. But at that moment, the power and water shut off. So, what do? Well, if you're smart, unlike me, you set up water. I mean, more than just the water you have. You set up water collecting crates and barrels around your house and the roof. If you set them up on the roof, you'll be able to use a pipe wrench and reset plumbing, so it's completely as normal. Any and all rainwater that falls in will be instantly cured, and you won't be in any danger of drinking it or using it to wash anything. With plumbing back, it might feel like nothing has changed, except for the fact that the lights won't turn on. So you still need electricity. I would recommend before the power shuts off, you would go around to every bookstore or hardware store, even auto shops, and look for a magazine called How to Use Generators. With this magazine, you'll be able to operate any and all generators in the map. Then finding a generator is easy. I'd recommend checking out suburban garages, or once again auto shops, because they usually have them. After you have that, grab a couple, because you'll need another generator to set up at a fuel pump to get more fuel, and you're good to go. Once you've connected it, filled it with fuel, and set it all up and turned it on, that's it. Your power is back. Everything in your fridge and freezer are good to go. No food's gonna spoil there. Well, unless you leave it too long. And after that, you're really pretty set. So usually honorable mentions are done before the last one, but I figured since tip number 5 was a power outage, and really getting all that set up, I would do some honorable mentions here. And those are trapping and occupations. So real quick, I'll run through some. With trapping, once you hit a good enough carpentry, you can make these things called trap crates. Fill them with a carrot, put them about 80 tiles away from you, don't go near the area. After a while, you can go back and you'll probably find dead game in there to butcher and cook. This game is not one time only. It lasts for a long time, making many meals. I'd recommend putting them in stews or roasts because they'll keep you filled for a long time. And plus it puts variety in your character's diet. The other honorable mention is occupations. Earlier mentioned with the generators, you don't need the magazine if you select the electrician occupation. Same with XP boost when it comes to carpentry or metalworking if you select carpenter and metalworker, respectively. Occupations are really tailored to how you want to play and what you want to focus on. And while personally I might have my favorites, I do not think there is essentially one best go-to all. There are some that are strong, sure, but once again, it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is combat and survival, then carpenter is not really, the best one out there. But if your goal is homesteading and building anew with survival, carpenter can be the greatest if not the best occupation you could go for. Same with things like park ranger for trapping or farmer. These occupations are really tailored to how you want to do. And while I will be making a video in the future about them, I'd recommend looking them up and seeing what you can and how you feel about playing it. There are certain aspects in the game that I never expected to like. As somebody who is a very much unga bunga whole W person, The fact that I got such a thrill out of seeing cabbages go to seed bearing kind of made me realize that you need to try as many things as you can before you really make your mind up. But don't let that stop you. Choosing an occupation does not limit you to that thing. Just because you have carpentry as an occupation does not mean you can't plant seeds. Explore everything. Level your character. This is not about role-playing one type thing unless that's your fancy. This game is about survival and using everything in your power to maximize every facet of your ability to do exactly that, which is survive. With all that said, I hope that these 5 things I wish I knew about before I started will help you when you get started on your journey. If you're really interested in the game, I usually stream at twitch.tv/SirWhiskey, which sometimes I do stream the game. Sometimes I'm busy getting schooled in Street Fighter, but that's a different time. Right now I run a dedicated server with a bunch of friends of mine, and it has been a ton of fun. We recently raided a military base and then immediately afterwards went to Louisville, where, you know, things didn't end great. But it doesn't matter. The point is, this game is a blast, and I hope anybody watching this video gets into it as much as you can, because truthfully, this game has endless potential. And we've all wanted to see how we would do in this situation. This game really lets you go at it. So, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.